So good evening, everybody. You're welcome to the rules discussion with national referees. We're delighted this evening to have two of our national referees on board with their time. We have Maggie. She is right below me on my screen, but she's to the left of the screen there, and Jonathan Murphy to the right. Both very, very experienced referees and have been at it a long time. So hopefully they'll take their time this evening to share their knowledge or their understanding of some of our rules with us. So Maggie, Johnny, I don't know if you want to say hello.
Hello, folks. Delighted to be here. And Claire, so thank you very much for inviting us along.
Hello, everyone. Thanks very much, Claire.
So what are we going to cover? We're just going to hopefully have an understanding of our rules, discuss in-depth current rules with national referees, and provide guidance regarding rules, questions, or queries. That's the aim of this evening for everybody. And what we're going to do is sort of maybe have a look at our audience before we kick off. So just have two simple questions for you. And the first one is, how would you describe yourself? Somebody new to refereeing, a coach, a player, or an experienced referee? We just like to see who we have on the call. Yeah, so we poll should have popped up there, and if you just answer away, you can click on it, it'll give us a bit of an understanding of what we have. So that's really good to see. We have a bit of a mix. You can see there we've 14% that are new to refereeing, which is excellent. Hopefully you've learned, and the same coaches are on board. With 14% coaches on listening to us, and then we have 73 that are classified as experienced referees. So hopefully you'll enjoy it too. And the next question we have, really easy as well, is when a rules query comes up, which happens a lot, what do you go to? What's your go-to? Would you go straight to looking it up on the LGFA official guide? Do you look at our smaller playing rules book? Do you ask another referee? Do you just forget about it and move on? Or do you contact the county board or referee coordinator in your county? What's people's sort of go-to? Just so we know what our best methods out of there. Yeah, not really surprised. You can see there when you do see it, a lot of people favor the plain rule book. It's brilliant because it's so small and so handy. It's unfortunate we haven't had actually any printed the last 2 years with COVID, but hopefully for 2022 we'll have it back in action. So you can see there 35 have went to the official guide, 52 to the plain rule book, 4% went to asking another referee, and 9% has went to contact the county board or referee coordinator. Maggie, Johnny, what would be your sort of go-to?
Sorry, Maggie, go ahead.
You're okay. Yeah. I suppose for me it'd be the rule book itself. So just to clarify, it's something that I constantly do on a regular basis, even before a game. Just to keep myself fresh.
I'm part of that 4% is ask another referee. and then if none of us are sure, then we go to the rule book.
I think it's probably understanding to realise that the plain rule book, although it's really good and it's small and it's compact, if it is a clarity on a rule, like the best thing to actually do is look up our official guide, because it has it all in full. And what's brilliant about it is now we have it all online in our website, but you can actually download it onto your home screen or under your books. And it means if you're out and about the pitch or something comes up, you have it straight there on your phone. And just makes it that clarity really, really easier, I think, for anybody more than anything. Now, we'll just get stuck into it, and we're going to start with kickouts. So the question I'm going to pose to you is, can a defending player collect the ball inside the 20-meter line after a goalkeeper kickout? So Maggie, I'll let you kick off.
Yeah, I suppose it's the kick-out strategy that all probably is massive now in our game. I suppose the kick-outs are a good way of getting the team set up for launching an attack or whatever it is. So most of the time you see a lot of quick kick-outs, and I suppose it's for us to ensure that all players, defending and attacking players, are outside of the 20-meter line to ensure that the ball is not kicked beforehand. And I suppose you mentioned the D. In ladies football, the D doesn't exist, so it's just to ensure that they're 13 meters away from the ball. However, so the starting position is 13 meters. They can actually receive the ball. The team defending the goals can actually receive the ball 2 meters from the 20-meter line. I suppose the most important thing is that they actually start their run 13 meters from the ball, and they actually can come in and collect the ball just on the 20-meter line, or 20, 3 yards out from the goal line, whatever it is. As well as that, it's just look, if a player is kind of dragging in behind the 20-meter line, you're blowing the whistle and you're just telling her just to speed up a wee bit, come on ahead out. If an attacking player remains inside that designated area, you're actually awarding a 20-meter free kick out for the defending team. So you're penalising that forward, so you're for being inside the zone as such. But just to reiterate, the D doesn't exist in ladies football. It's a great measurement of diameter. So it is just to allow for all players to be outside that zone in terms of 13 meters from the ball. All kickouts, obviously from a score, it's taken on a 20-meter line. However, if it's a wide ball, it's taken on a 13-meter line. And the same rule applies that all players has to be outside the 13-meter line and can receive the ball again outside the 20-meter line in that space as well. So the goalkeeper or the kicker, only has to kick the ball that's 7 meters to the 20-meter line just to receive the ball if they want to get away fast with a kick out.
I think the big one there, Maggie, that people probably don't realise, and you mentioned it nearly off the bat, is they only have to be 13 meters away before the kick out, and then they can come in. And I think a lot of people probably aren't just aware of that rule in and around it. So it is really important that it's brought up. Johnny, I might take you in on positioning. What would be your go-to as a referee, positioning wise for kick out? I think, what would you look at?
It's probably off centre most of the time is from kickouts. I suppose club is different than intercounty, because intercounty, your lines person is taught to flag if it doesn't cross the 20-meter line. So in club games it's probably different. In club games you're probably in a bit further there at the moment there, where I think it's Brendan is there. You're probably in a bit further because you have to cover that line yourself. You have to cover everything there, whereas you're on your own basically. Whereas intercounty games, you have the help of other officials there as well.
And if you were going to into a top tip, what would be something if you're starting out? We've seen there now that we have a good few new referees coming in, and they're probably looking, as you say, at club level at everything around kickouts. What would you say is the big one to know or to work on regarding kickouts as a referee?
I suppose that everyone is facing the ball as well. I suppose that they're not just facing their player or marking their player, using that intimidation thing or anything. Everyone has to face the ball to face the kickouts. I suppose on some underage games, if there's a decent player, people tend to mark that player for kickouts and stuff, so they're just facing her instead of facing the ball. I suppose as regards the rules, it's just making sure that everyone is 13 meters away when the keeper kicks it, so that they can obviously then receive it maybe 2 meters away, like what Maggie was saying. But staying in around and being sure when you're making the call that if it's not outside the 21, that you were seeing that you were 100% that you were given that it's not, that it's inside the 21 before you're given a free either way, either from the defending or attacking team.
Brilliant, thank you. And Maggie, what about you? If you were to give a tip for somebody in and around the kickouts?
Yeah, for the kickouts, I suppose you're just finding out what strategy the goalkeeper or the person who's kicking the ball using, are they going long or they're going short, and then you're trying to find yourself getting yourself in that position that if they are going long, you're trying to judge where that kick out is going to come, because you don't want a player to be impeded or infringed on that kick out, like either by a shove in the back or push in the front or whatever it is. And obviously then, as Johnny rightly said, then that if they are going short, that the ball actually does cross the 20-meter line, particularly with us at intercounty level, that you are using the lines people, to manage and to mind that for us in the best possible way. And if it is broken, as Johnny said, then you're getting them to communicate. But for me, it's just trying to find out what strategy in terms of the goalkeeper is using, if she's going long or short, and then you're trying to find yourself then, just trying to find yourself in that distance, that there's no actually infringements happening on that player if she is receiving the ball.
Yeah, you're adopting sort of as it goes on. Once you get a taste of the game, you're going to adopt your positioning in and around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like it's fair enough having a kick out, but if goalkeepers or teams are using a strategy that they're hitting a number of players, or they're hitting space where a number of players are running that to collect a kick out, that you're actually on point, making sure that there's no fouls being committed on that player receiving the ball, or she herself doesn't commit a foul by either charging or leading by an elbow, whatever it is, herself after she's collected the ball.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, folks. And there's the sort of rules in and around it. They've all been covered. I don't think any of them weren't covered, really. Where we're kicking it from, the 20-metre lines, 13 metres away, right in front of goals. And, we do have rules in our rule book, like deliberately delaying the kick out or a free kick, is a free in as well. So just being aware of that. See, somebody's asked here off the bat again about the official guide likely to be updated in 2022. So I suppose it's important that everybody knows we actually update our official guide and our playing rules after Congress. So Congress is in March, and any rule changes or amendments are made and ratified at Congress. And then the official guide for 2022 and the playing rules are always updated after Congress, because any changes that happen, that's when we tend to do it. So it's probably just important that people realise that as well.
Sorry, Claire, can I just jump in there? Just the point is you did make there about deliberate delay in the kick out. It is actually a free in rather than a hot ball. So it is important that that people are aware of that it's not just a throw up on the 20-metre line, that it actually is a free kick in,
Yeah, it's actually a tick as well. It's an open. It's a non-technical. So if that's something that's happening in and around, it's probably good that referees are aware of that. And that it is a free in. It's not, just as you said, probably a common thing. People might think, God, is it a throw ball? So that's probably the only one that wasn't covered there in and around that. The other one, which I always think is really
the keeper kicking out, is it? Yes. Is it the keeper? Yeah. Yeah. If it doesn't cross the 20-metre line, she's the only one then that can.
Yeah.
She can't take it into her possession, obviously. She has to kick it again off the ground or so.
That's one I don't think people really realise too, Johnny. So if the ball, and you'll have seen it happen possibly again at club games, or if the goalkeeper kicks it, maybe it's a windy day or something's happened, and it only goes out to the 13-metre line, or it only hits 18 metres. Nobody else can still come in, and if they do, it's a free. The goalkeeper can go back out, and you're completely right. It has to be kicked off the ground. She can't take it into her hands, or
for possession.
It's a really funny one. I don't think you see it very often. Have you ever seen it?
I've seen girls waiting for it to come out, but it actually goes to the sideline. They don't actually go into the 21. They just wait for it to see will it, and they just look at it, watch them go over the sideline. Really,
Yeah, one we definitely don't see very often.
No, not very often.
Some people's favorite ones. This is up now. We definitely see this often enough. In regarding our sin bin. So this is a wee bit different. I've put this in. So a goalkeeper has just received a yellow card. So your keeper has received a yellow card. What options does the coach have there and then? So I'll maybe kick off with you this time, Johnny.
I suppose the first option is if they want to bring in the sub goalkeeper, and then take off a player. To still have the sin bin counting, if you know what I mean. So the sub goalkeeper can go on, but they would have to take a player that's there playing, and that would count as a substitution. The other option would be to an outfield player to go in goal, but obviously would have to have a distinctive jersey to have the rights of a goalkeeper. So to pick the ball off her knees inside the small square, to have all them privileges, I suppose, that a goalkeeper would have. So she'd have to have a distinctive jersey then if she does go in the goal, either a bib or different colour top or something like that.
Yeah. And Maggie, regarding our sin bins in and around that, what about our playing times?
Yeah, so I suppose if a game is 30 minutes or 30 minutes a half, that would be 10 minutes playing time. So that's a lapse playing time. So if an injury or a substitution occurs, or like another further sin bin of a player or a red card offence, you're stopping the clock at that point as well. So it's just to ensure that all those stoppages the clock is stopped. And with that, then the sin bin player's time is stopped as well along the sideline. So it's elapsed playing time rather than time. So it is. So it's just to ensure that. So if an injury did happen and the injured player was down for 2 minutes, well, essentially then that would be your 2 minutes plus your 10 minutes. So that's your 10 minutes playing elapsed playing time. So it is. And again, for games that's less than the 30 minutes, is 25 minutes a half. It's a 5 minute sin bin. And if the game goes into extra time, then as well, it's based on that duration as well. So if it's extra time that's been played and it's 30 minutes a half, it's 10 minutes 10 minutes sin bin time for that game as well.
And Meg, can I ask you, what method, or how do you time your sin bin, regarding watches and stuff?
Yeah, just using the 2 watches is a key part of your equipment. And like that, if you have a 4th official that's working with you, you communicate with them. Sometimes I do get my umpire as well, just to watch out for it, so it depends on the situation that you're in. If you're refereeing a club game, you'd be looking, maybe at an umpire, maybe to help to record that time as well. In conjunction with yourself. It's never their responsibility, it's always your responsibility. It's just them, just helping out. And likewise with the 4th official. But if you have an earpiece, you're communicating the time. So if it's 14:30 in the first half, that it's elapsed playing time until 24:30. And again, you're keeping your eye on your watch. You're stopping, as I said there, for further carding offences, substitutions, and any injuries that occur. And again, they're serious injuries. It's not like for cramp or anything like that there. So it's serious injuries that you're actually stopping the playing time for. And then you're communicating back then to the lines person or whatever that there's a minute left in the sin bin, and the player doesn't return until there's a next break and play after that elapsed 10 minutes. So essentially a player could be off maybe for 11 or 12 minutes, depending on when there's the next break and play. And a break and play then is obviously when a substitution's coming in, or if it's a wide or a score ball, or if it's a further injury then as well. So it's allowing that time to happen. I suppose it's just keeping control of it and keeping an eye on it. And you're writing, for me, if I sin bin a player, I write the obviously I'm taking her details, and I also write the time of when she's actually left the field of play. So it's up until they actually leave the field of play across that white line. You're recording that time, and you have it recorded in your book. So then you can reflect back on that then once you get an opportunity to do that, to see how many minutes is left.
That's really good, and I like that. It's important that you're mentioning there. The player doesn't come back on until the referee allows. They just can't decide to run on themselves, because you will get pressure from managers shouting, "No, the sin bin's up, ref, the sin bin's up." You would get that quite a lot. So I think it is keeping it under control. That they only come on when you allow them to come back on, Maggie. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, so you're just waiting for that break and play to do that, and then you signal on them for the lines person or the 4th official then to let them on then at that point.
It's definitely about controlling it, and it is a big difference from the men's game, in terms of it, because if a men's get a black card, they're off for 10 minutes duration, so it doesn't matter. I'm correct in saying that. It doesn't matter if there's an injury or whatever. So I think it's probably a real big difference that our referees need to be aware of, that we are playing time. That's a big
thing. And we show a yellow card rather than a black card for sin bin.
Yep.
As well. Yeah.
The ladies do it right, Claire.
And what about the actual goalkeeper themselves? I like picking up on your point, Johnny. Would you give them time? Just say that happens and the full back jumps into goals. Would you give them time to go and get a bib on?
Oh, 100%, because you're asking for trouble if she doesn't have a bin. I mean, we all have to be sensible about it at the end of the day as well, and use the common sense. Like, she has to get those privileges. You'd mention it, like, you need to get a bib. I mean, stop the time. There's no one going to lose, and she's still going to be entitled to, like what Maggie said, she's still going to have to do her 10 minutes in the bin, until we're ready to start again, until that time is ready to start. So get a bib and get it organised. I would do it definitely, yes.
And is a bib sufficient, or do you have to have the Spur goalkeeper jersey in?
I think a bib is sufficient anyway. Big orange bib. I couldn't see any difference. That's very distinctive to me anyway. So
If they have an orange one out there. So I think it's highlighting it there again. It is only the player wearing a distinctive jersey that's really important, who enjoys the right and privileges of a goalkeeper. I allowed to pick the ball off the ground without being in a stand position inside the small rectangle, because you don't want to be giving away penalties in and around that. Maggie really outlined our difference in our sin bins, which was brilliant. It's 10 minutes playing time, 5 minutes playing time, 3 minutes playing time, and the 3 minutes one is probably the least common, because it's more 7-a-side competitions. It's anything under 15 minutes so you wouldn't have very many games unless you're in like the All Ireland sevens or Ulster sevens or sort of competitions in and around that. So it's just being aware of them small things in and around it. And the thing is, if it is your goalkeeper, which is an unusual, the one that if you do want to take in on your Spur keeper, it's being aware that is a sub you're using as well, because you have to take off a player onto the pitch, and then if you want to bring her back on, it's another sub. So it's just being aware of that all the time, up and around it. Okay, there's one that's just come in and around that, so I'll answer it now when we've got it, because I think we have had this situation before. So I'll maybe throw it to you, Maggie. What do you do if a sin bin player has come back onto the pitch unknown to yourself?
You scream for help. Look, I suppose people do chance their arms. It's just to ensure that, you know, if you have a team of officials working with you, it doesn't really happen too often, but I can see where this could occur at definitely club level. You know, so it's just keeping an eye out. You know, that the player hasn't come on, but definitely if she's come on and collected the ball in a position, you're giving her free to the opposition if she's collected the ball there and then, and you're getting her back off the field of play. So yeah, until her time is up, and you're emphasising to the management and herself that she doesn't come onto the field of play until you're ready, and that. But it's just to ensure that if she does come in and collect the ball, that you actually are stopping the play and you're giving a free kick to the opposition to where she actually collected the ball.
Good stuff. So 45-meter kicks. This is one as well that it's probably a wee bit more definitely talk around, since it went to 2 points. So if a defending player touches a 45-meter kick over the bar, does it still count as 2 points? Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, if it's a defending team, if they touch it over, if it's still 2 points. If an attacking, the attacker, so if the corner forward manages to box it while it's in flight and box it over the bar, then it's still only 1 point. So if it goes directly over, or if the defending team puts it over, then it's still counted as 2 points. And then as well, if it's brought in 13 meters, then it's the same thing. If she kicks it off the ground, and it's the same scenario. If the forward hits it then over the bar, it obviously doesn't count. It still only counts for 1 point. But if the defender then flicks it over the bar in trying to stop it in some way, it's still counted as 2 points.
It's definitely, people are probably unaware that if somebody's doing something and the referee's brought the 45-meter
forward,
forward 13 meters, it's technically now what, a 32 meter kick.
Don't do maths live.
A 32-meter kick, but it's still worth the 2 points if it sails over the bar, you know, in and around it. So it's just something really important. I think the fact that it's went to 2 points, it's really important. And I haven't seen one yet since it went to 2 points.
I haven't either.
You have?
No.
And Maggie, when is the situation that you would retake a 45?
If the attacking team actually fouls the ball in that effort, you go for a retake. However, if she fouls it again, then you're giving a free to the opposition then at that point. So yeah, and it's just important to mention maybe as well that 45s are taken off the ground for under 15s and upwards, and out of the hands from under 14s downwards as well.
I think, you know, somebody put in here, if you're playing on a smaller pitch, is it still 2 points?
No, it's like what Maggie said, isn't it? It's under 15 up, so it's a full pitch. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it has to be a full pitch.
It has to be. Is the 2 point thing a new rule?
2 years.
In 2 years, it was first introduced. It was actually Kilkenny that brought the motion forward, I believe. And that was 2020. It was passed at Congress, and then it was rejigged in 2021 to allow the defending player, if they touched it, it would still remain 2 points. So that was a switch. So it's around 2 years in and around it at the moment anyway. And again, what about top tips for looking out between the 45 meter? What are you looking out in and around, or were you positioning yourself as a referee in and around a 45 meter kick to watch the all going? How are you briefing umpires now? How your umpires going to signal this? What are you doing in and around that, Maggie? If you want to go first.
Yeah, I suppose for a 45 meter kick, if you have the assistance of lines people, you're getting them to obviously mark it out first and foremost, working with the umpires at either end, that they're actually hanging about, making sure that all players are away from the, you know, given her space and given that time to take the 45 meter kick, so pushing all players back the 13 meters so that she actually has a fair go at it. And I suppose for the umpires, then you're just getting them to be really watching about what's going on. Obviously, like one of them's keeping a very close eye on the small square, ensuring that the ball, you know, the player doesn't enter the small square before the ball does and whatnot. And you've got the guide is on the points that's really are looking to see to ensure that a forward hasn't flicked it, or a defender has flicked it. That's fair enough. But essentially, we as officials, referees, we have a role to play in that as well, that we're in close there as well to monitor that. You see sometimes that you kind of know maybe from inter-county games, you know, who's going to go long and who's going to go short sometimes, and you're able to, you're trying to judge that on how many times or how often does 45s occur. Some games, you know, there could be 4 or 5, and in other games you mightn't even see one. So again, you're just judging it accordingly. But I suppose for me, you're trying to position yourself between the 45 meter line, in around the 20 meter line, and then obviously then you've got that. You can make that short burst then either way to ensure, you know, that it has been implemented correctly or whatever. So if you do need to make a burst towards the small square, then you're looking there too, and likewise you're making that advancement back out towards the 45 meter line. But it's a communication piece between your lines people, umpires, and yourself, just to monitor that. That's all really. Just have to look out there.
And Johnny, how's your umpire now signaling that if it's 2 points?
It's one hand in the air and signaling like this.
Yeah. So it's the hand in the air, and you know, you're waving the flag at the.
You're waving the flag. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They're going to be quite busy. Somebody's asked here, if you've brought it forward to 13 meters, what we talked about before, is it not a free?
The player has the option of taking it off the ground, which still constitutes as 2 points if she kicks the ball clearly over the bar, or if a defender has flicked the ball over the bar, it's still counted as 2 points because it's a foul on a 45, so it's a free kick from that technical aspect.
Yeah, it's brought forward and they're still kicking it off the ground basically, for going for the 2 points throughout it. Yeah, super. And you can see there's our rules all in and around our 45. The guys have outlined all of it for you, and we've just highlighted, especially with that one about deflecting it over the bar by a member of the defending team. As I said, the rule was rejigged in 2021. So I know some people, when they were doing rule tests recently, were maybe caught out in that because they didn't realise. So there you show, and they're just showing our difference between when the ball's been fouled, when it's a retake. And I think Maggie already outlined that if the player fouls the ball twice, a throw-in, it should be awarded. That's the punishment. So there, you know, it is quite technical and around the 45 meters on what rules sit with it. And it's probably just important that referees are really crystal clear with it, what to do in certain situations in and around it. They mightn't realise it's as technical as it is, but they're all fairly outlined and have been throughout the process there. So it's super to see. This is one that, you know, if I'm not asked about this weekly, it isn't the weekend in ladies football. It seems to be a really, really hot topic, and it's the tackle. So I'll start it off really, really easy. So can you tackle a player with a closed fist, Maggie?
No. So the tackle is quite clearly defined in the ladies' book. The tackle is actually on the ball. You can dispossess somebody with open hand or hands when the ball is presented. So if I'm presenting the ball, either the hand pass or kick past the ball, once the ball is released or taken from the body out into the hands to be offloaded in any respect or to solo the ball, the opposition can come in with open hand or hands to flick the ball out of possession. Even though when the ball is out presented, you can't use the closed fist to dispossess at that point either. So it has to be open hand or hands in that. So when the ball's in here in close contact of the body, it cannot be touched in any respect. So it can't. If it is flicked with an open hand, it's a free. If it's a closed fist close to the body, it's actually a yellow card offence. So it is.
Gianni, what do you feel in and around contact with it, and how are you making your decisions in and around the tackle?
Claire, thanks. I think, listen, if you start off,
You went muted there on this, Johnny. You're on mute there, John. You don't know what you've done, how do you? Do you know what? While Johnny gets himself sorted, I'm going to play a wee video. It lasts for 4 or 5 minutes, all about the tackle, and then I'm going to come in and ask the guys to deliver some top tips that they would use in and around the tackle. So hopefully everybody can hear this clearly.
The tackle. This short video will give a clear description of the tackle allowed in ladies Gaelic football. Before we start, the key rule in the official guide: there shall be no deliberate body contact. A key word in this is deliberate. So for instance, if 2 players were jumping up to catch the ball, there may be contact, but it is deliberate if one player pushes the other, for example. So the word deliberate is very important in this rule. In relation to the tackle, Rule 396, a player while holding the ball into her body cannot be legally dispossessed. Any attempts to do so shall result in a free being awarded to her team. This is really important. So if a player has the ball in her body, she cannot be tackled. When making a tackle to dispossess a player of the ball, firstly, it must be timed when the player in possession has the ball out from her body. Secondly, the ball must be knocked from the opponent's hand by flicking it with the open hand or hands. And finally, they cannot use the fist at any time. So to tackle, you must wait till the ball is away from the body and then use the open hand or hands. Any attempt to tackle with the fist will be a minimum of a free against the player. It could possibly be a yellow card if it's a fist into the body of the player. If you look at this video, it's an excellent example of the tackle. The player in green chases back the player in red, waits till the ball is away from the body, uses the open hand and knocks the ball away. It is perfect timing. Watch this again. The ball is out from the body, the player waits till the ball is away, taps the ball with the open hand and wins possession. It is an excellent example of the tackle. If you watch this in slow motion, you will see that the player will wait till the ball is out, which will be every 4 steps, and cannot and knock the ball in any direction away, as long as they use the open hand or hands. It does not necessarily need to be the near hand. The near hand tackle is a skill, but you can tackle with either hand as long as you do not touch the body of the player. So you're looking for the timing and using the open hand. There can be no fist. This is another excellent example of the tackle. So watch the player in blue. We'll time it to when the player is about to kick it, and then we'll knock the ball away with the open hand. Look for the timing, knocks the ball away, and our team retains possession. So you're looking out for the timing of it, the open hand, and making sure there is no fist going into the player. The key factors the referee will look at are the force, the intent, and the movement of the player. So has the player moved and not made deliberate contact with the other player? So they're using that open hand and timing it, but they cannot make deliberate contact with the opposition player. The intent is there to just knock the ball away with the open hand while it is away from the body. And the force, the referee will look for to ensure that the hand or fist has not made contact with the body of an opponent. It is only making contact with the ball. So you cannot make contact with the body of an opponent. In this picture, you will see it can be difficult for a referee as both players are fouling as they're playing the body of an opponent. So it doesn't matter if you have or have not the ball, you cannot have deliberate contact with the body of an opponent. The referee will look for who makes this contact first in a situation as per the picture. The key principles in the art of tackling. The best tackler is the patient tackler. So wait and time your contact. The player has to do something within every 4 steps, so time that. Tackle with confidence when the time is right, so the ball is out of the body or the player is off balance. Body positioning is important. The player tackling should try and dictate the play. So head down, push to non-preferred side, down the line or away from the goal. Your objective is to delay and deny the player. Desire and commitment to tackle the ball and not the person. You're looking to dispossess. You cannot tackle the player. And remember, tackle smart. If you'd like to find out any more in relation to the tackle.
So I think that really sums up in and around the tackling for us, and hopefully Johnny might be able to unmute himself and he might let us know.
I'm sorry, Clara. Technical issues. I think anytime you see anyone, they're all saying near hand, near hand, near hand. You just cannot tackle, no matter what hand it is, whether it's near hand. If she has possession of that ball, you cannot tackle that ball. Like what Maggie said, the ball has to be away from the body to play it. I think start as you mean to go on, so blow it. When it happens, blow it. It'll make it easier at the end. If you're going to leave this one go and then leave that one go and then you don't know where you are, start, blow it, blow it, blow it, blow it every time. It'll make it easier at the end.
And Maggie, what about you? What are you looking out for in and around with your tackling?
Yeah, I suppose it is that we all know that players can be very close to each other when they are making that tackle. Sometimes when you see the release of the ball, you know that if a hand pass is supposed to be going off and you can see, you know, maybe the hand being held for the pass to be made, like, you know, that's impeding the play in terms of the tackle there as well. So it's just to ensure that, you know, what you can only referee what you can see, and being close to the action is probably a key factor as well. Ensuring that the open hand is being used, like, you know, if somebody's just lunging in and they're lunging in the closed fist, like, you know, that they're out of control by doing that because they're actually making a lunge. As Lynn had said in the video clip there, is to be patient, be smart about it. You have 4 steps, she has 4 steps to play the ball. So it's either getting that when she presents the ball, as I said there, that you're waiting then for her either to hand pass the ball, offload in some way, or to keep possession by hopping it or soloing it. So it's just being patient, eyes on the people around her. I suppose is the key point from a refereeing perspective, to see who's in close beside her, and in terms of their body position and what they're trying to do as well. So if they're coming in lunging out of control, or they're coming in just with open hand to make that tackle, that they actually are confident in what they're doing.
Yeah, because it's definitely been a big talking point for referees, and I think and coaches and players over the last couple of years. But I don't know, I think it's really well defined in our rulebook. I think it can't be any more clear than what it is, and you've both outlined that when the ball's in the body, it can't be tackled. People have to be patient in time and maybe practice the skill in it. So there's the rule in and around it, like we heard from the video clip. This is one, and it's probably just keeping on the theme of tackling, and this is just generalizing it a bit more. So a defending player has her hands up, so she has them up. She catches a player high around the neck. The attacking player is not hurt. What should the referee do? And again, we'll just go straight into Johnny with this one. What are you doing in and around that?
I think we've always talked about high tackle. I think accidental high seems to be yellow, and obviously deliberate high is red. So it's all about force, intent. It's what you're seeing at that moment. But accidental high is yellow straight away. Anything above that chest area there, anything there at all, it has to be at least yellow. There's no making this signal or making that signal and then giving a tick. You can't. It's not there for a tick. It's there. A high tackle is either yellow or red, and that's it. It's plain and simple,
Yeah, it's definitely one of them rules in the rule book that we only have the yellow or the red for it. So it's either you believe it's a yellow card and it's a sin bin, or it's deliberate. And once you believe it's a deliberate high tackle, we're then straight reaching for the red card. Maggie, what are you looking out for in terms of it when you're refereeing the high tackle?
Yeah, I suppose your position of where the tackle is coming in from, so if it's a motion that the girl is reaching maybe from behind, like she's coming from behind and she's reaching across to get the ball, like whatever, like for me that's a high tackle, which is a yellow card offence, like it's reaching across, it's not deliberately taking her out of it, so it's the deliberate high tackle is when you're maybe when a player's coming at you and you're running and you actually clothesline her and you're bringing that forearm out to catch her, so that intent and that movement again, so it's the motion and the movement of the body part that's impeding the player as well. So the high challenge up here, reaching for a ball, as Johnny said there, it's normally a yellow card that you would be going for that, and then the push off then in terms of the challenge on the chest and in the face and so on. So again, you're looking at about definitely the enforced intention, and then the motion of the body part that's used then to tackle the player will help to define if it's going to be a yellow card offence or if it's going to be a red card offence.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. And we can see it there, guys. Both have outlined it. There is no tick, there is no free. When we talk about a high tackle, with two motions in our rule book, it's a high tackle, yellow card. And Johnny really clearly outlined it. Anywhere chest height, and our deliberate is the red. So that's in and around our high tackle. Attire, something people have questions in and around this. So what happens if a referee notices a player is not wearing a mouth guard, Maggie? What's the rule? What's the protocol?
Yeah, so it doesn't always have to be the referee that knows this. Again, it's the team of officials on the day. So it's umpire, lines person, it's a fourth official that's setting them on the field of play. Again, it's having a quiet word in their ear and say, look, get your mouth guard in. You're taking note of a number. I always like to take a note of the number in my book. Just you're not ticking. It's just that you're actually just recording. And again, this is your method of how you record instances on during a game. So if I've noted number 11 for not using the mouth guard, that's a first opportunity to rectify it. So she either takes it out of her sock, puts it in her mouth, and that's it, or she has to go to the sideline to get. And again, you don't stop the game for this. That's in her own time, so she has to go and find her mouth guard. Once she comes back on the field of play, so either the lines person or fourth official or yourself is checking to ensure she actually has it. And 5 minutes later, then you see the same player not wearing the same mouth guard. Then you go back to your book and you say, okay, well, number 11, I warned you 5 minutes ago that you're not wearing your mouth guard. And now at this point, then you're issuing a yellow card because she's actually dissenting and challenging your authority.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You know, the yellow card is for dissent. You know, it's not for, you know, the outcome of it is because she hasn't worn a mouth guard when you've asked her to, but what you're actually issuing the yellow for isn't around dissent. And you know, it's really clearly communicating that, I think, more than anything. Johnny, what about eyewear? And that's another common question we're often asked. People with their glasses, etc.
It has to be perspex, isn't it? It has to be. We can't on this one now exactly. It can't be. It can't be glasses.
No, it can't be.
Carbon fiber.
They have to be durable. So polycarbonated, unbreakable. That's what they are there. And you see it now. Common people with nearly, some of them have like the goggles, you know, and they tie them here. They're specialized. And that's what the rule is. They must wear glasses that use durable, unbreakable polycarbonate for the lens and have durable, unbreakable frames as advised by the opticians. And that's just to make the players safe more than anything. The attire is about them being as safe as possible. And I think Maggie alluded to the mouth guard there already, really, really clearly. All players must wear a mouth guard. It's not you have a choice, you have an option. We must, or you're not insured. You know, that's just as easy. If they don't, they should have a note by a qualified doctor or dentist. And the referee sends them off the field until the situation is rectified, in terms of if they've left it in the changing room, that's their problem. They have to go back to the changing room and get it. You know, they're wasting their own time and they're off the field while they do that. And it's for all age groups must wear a mouth guard, everybody, and is the responsibility of each individual player to use a mouth guard. So if they wouldn't be covered by the injury fund, and I think that's really key. So it is a safety aspect in and around it. The other one is jewellery. Maggie, what's the stance in jewellery?
Yeah, again, it's no earrings, no earrings, no facial jewellery, you know, like, you know, so no studs or whatever it is. And then obviously rings and fingers and watches. Like you see a lot of girls now wearing Fitbits and whatnot, you know, like it's no jewellery. You know, so again, it's the same principles that you apply. You ask them to rectify it. So if it's taken out of stud or if it's covering up with tape or whatever it is. And again, they do that not on the field of play. They go and do that in the along the sideline. And again, it's their time. Again, you don't stop the clock for that, or you don't hold up play. They're off doing that. They're getting it rectified, and again, they come to you. Again, just to ensure that you're happy enough with that for them to continue to play, or to go to the lines person or the fourth official. If you have the luxury of having those officials with you on the day. But yeah, until they present themselves, it's the same as the blood sub, you know, that the blood is removed from all the jersey and all that crack as well. So again, it's making sure that they've actually listened to what you've said, and they're coming back onto the field of play ready for action in the right way.
Super, thank you. This is a big one. I feel it's a big one at the minute anyway. So it'd be great to get your talk and thoughts on and around this. I think it's one referees are having difficulty deciphering, and it's definitely one that is becoming more popular in the game. So as a referee, what must you look out for and consider when deciding if a player was diving on the ball or sliding in? And we'll maybe jump over to you first on this, Johnny.
I think diving is the only foul on the ball that's a non-technical, so it's actually a tick. But diving is more head first, whereas sliding I would consider would be more feet first.
What about yourself, Maggie?
Yeah, something similar. You can dive on the ball to make a block, and that's fine. Once the ball is actually on the ground, so if it's a no man's land and you're diving in to gain possession, that is an open offence. Okay, so it's a non-technical foul. So like you're putting yourself at risk and you're putting other people at risk as well by diving in on the ball into that space. The sliding tackle, so we've got the two different, I suppose, strands of sliding tackle. One is a yellow card offence, and then the other one then is the deliberate sliding tackle again. And it's where the head and where the hands and where the feet are at in terms of where the slide comes in, on that player. So if a player's down picking the ball up, if you're sliding in and you slide in, but your knees gets there first rather than your feet, I would be going with a yellow card there. If the legs take somebody from underneath somebody, in terms of a sliding tackle approach and you're sliding across, again, you're out of control. You can't get yourself stopped. It's a dangerous play, so it's a red card.
So I'm going to play these 2 wee clips, and you can see whether you believe it's diving in or sliding in, and maybe just why.
Of a traditional All-Ireland quarter-final about it. The winners will be going forward to the semi-finals. It's as simple as that, the way things are looking at here at the moment. Sharon having Evelyn McHugh fouled as she was going forward there.
I'll just show it again in case the people.
Of a traditional All-Ireland quarter-final about it. The winners will be going forward to the semi-finals. It's as simple as that, the way things are looking at here at the moment. Sharon having Evelyn McHugh fouled as she was going forward there.
Okay, we'll jump to you first for that one, Maggie. Diving or sliding?
She came in on the knees there. So she did. I think she's kind of coming in on her knees, but it's probably she was reaching with her hand. So I would suggest that she was reaching with her hand to dive in on the ball more than actually sliding. So I would have went with a dive on the ball.
Johnny?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I thought we were going to have a discussion there for a minute. I thought you were going to go slide and tackle, Maggie.
No, it's just, again, it's a body position in terms of, you could see the hand was out
ahead of
ahead of the knee. So that's where you, again, is looking at the body position of the head, hands, feet as such, where everybody's coming in from. Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant way to put it. The fact you can see her hands went in. To me, she's diving in onto the ball, even though she has come in on her knees. So, but the hands have went.
Hands are first, yeah.
Yeah, hands are first, yeah.
The hands are quite clear first, and that's a good way of trying to break down how you help you decide. I'll go show you the second one here now, and again, I'll play it twice.
Good. Sinead Loughran tries to pass the ball on, but that's a weak enough kick. She nearly passed it to herself. Dunboyne free.
And again.
Good. Sinead Loughran tries to pass the ball on, but that's a weak enough kick. She nearly passed it to herself. Dunboyne free.
Of a traditional All-Ireland.
Okay, so Johnny, we'll start off with you first this time.
It's obviously sliding in. I suppose there's a bit of a grey area here, whether it's a deliberate slide in or just a sliding tackle. Her legs are tucked in. To me, that brings it down from a red to a yellow. So to me, it was a yellow card for a sliding tackle.
And Maggie, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, again, the body motion, she led on her knees, so I'd say she would have got herself stopped in time from actually just completely uprooting the girl, that she was meeting. I think if she had been showing her feet first and just sliding in, I think she would have been out of more control, being able to do that. So I would have went with the yellow card there too.
Good. We had a bit of a debate. I'm glad we're all singing off the same hymn sheet.
Again, I think it's your body position. I think that sort of helps to define. If it's a dive, a slide, and then the severity then of the slide. Then whether it's a yellow card or a red card. And again, it's the body position of the player, and what her intent or what in terms of a body motion. Then taking her forward. Then was she in control? Was she not in control?
He was in a great position to see it as well. He was right in front of it, in fairness to the referee. So.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sort
of a traditional all.
You know, it is, these are definitely coming in. Like for you as a referee, what's your top tip that you're looking at in and deciding between the diving and the sliding when you know it is becoming more prominent in the game? Like, how do you make them calls?
For me, I think it's the positions of your head, hands, feet.
Yeah.
When you're coming into that, there is your body position. So what's your hands, what's your, you know, your knees, your feet coming in at, you know, like it's trying to determine what their intent was. Like, you know, so you're trying to determine what intent they were trying to do. Was it diving to flick the ball away, or was it actually just to come in and to slide underneath the player?
And Johnny, what about you? Like, somebody has come in here rightly so and said, is making contact with the ball first, does that not excuse the sliding foul?
No, because you just can't slide tackle, and that's it. No matter whether you win the ball or not win the ball.
If the ball was on somebody's foot, if they were like, you know, soloing the ball or kicking the ball, and you actually come in and dive and you flick the ball away, or you perfectly block them, that's 110%. That's fine. That's
going back to our rule of even being in possession and actually getting the ball with a fist. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's the very same thing.
Yeah, 100%. Now we're getting round up here now. It's at 9 o'clock, folks. It's just on 9 o'clock on the button, and maybe before I just run through the take-home message, we do have one or two questions in, so I just will ask you them nice and briefly. But I think it's been great. Loads of things clarified there tonight. Hopefully people have picked up on that, and if there's one or two questions, we will take them. But we won't be taking too many. But there's an easy one to kick off with, and I'll give you this one, Johnny. From a free kick, the player hand passed the ball instead of taking the kick. What do you do?
A retake. I'll let her retake it. Obviously, then yeah, sorry, Maggie, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think particularly if it's underage players and they kind of forget themselves in the moment, they're just kind of shocked and they just kind of think, oh God, what to do next? And yeah, you use your. We often say that common sense doesn't exist in the rule book, yeah, but you do have to apply this one, that you do give her a chance to take it, regardless of what age. If it's underage or a senior player, doesn't matter. You just, you know, the moment can maybe sometimes get to them and they kind of forget themselves. So yeah, let them out.
They just forgot that you have to kick it. You can't hand pass it.
But I suppose players spend so much time doing possession games now in training, like, and it's constant hand pass, the whistle blows and then the stop and the start again, and next thing is then it's an offload then for hand pass. You know, so you kind of do have to allow for the scenarios, maybe what's played out in their minds.
I have one in here as well. If a player from each team contests a high ball that's kicked towards a goal, but either of them successfully take the ball into their possession, then both players fall to the ground and the attacking player slaps or fists the loose ball whilst lying on the ground and scores a goal by doing so. Is this score legit, or does she have to have caught the ball with both hands, as in her possession first, before spilling the ball to the ground? Johnny,
Maggie.
But for me, I would say that she hadn't got possession, so the goal doesn't count.
Yeah, that's what the rule states. She has to have possession,
yeah.
And then.
Yeah, it clearly states a player that has had possession, that is falled or knocked to the ground, can play it. So
it's the same in the men's. It's the same in the men's rule.
Hopefully that answers it for you. It actually is outlined in our rules in and around that she has to have had possession. So I would say neither of them had possession, so no, the score doesn't stand. Okay. Any rule regarding slapping a ball with a free hand by the player in possession to dummy a pass?
Slapping the ball.
Does mean changing it over? Is that what it means?
Yeah.
That action where you slap the ball.
But so long as the original hand maintains, isn't it? So long as it's not thrown over, so long as that hand maintains possession of the ball, there's no foul. You're not throwing it from one hand to the other.
Yeah, as long as as you said, as long as you keep the hand that had contact on it, it has to remain on it throughout it. There's someone just about the rule book again, guys. When the rule book's updated, it doesn't go from version 1 to 2, it goes by year. So when it's updated for 2022, it'll read Official Guide 2022. So at the minute, it's still reading the most up-to-date version is Official Guide 2021, and that'll be updated after Congress, and that'll then be called Official Guide 2022, Playing Rules 2022. So that's when you'll know they're updated. So that's all the questions that seem to be in at the moment anyway. So just a wee key take-home message from me before I ask each of the guys for one message that they'd like to leave our referees with tonight. But for me, it is know what the tackle is and don't be afraid to punish it. So blow that whistle early. Know that they aren't allowed it when the ball's into the body. Remember, a high tackle can only be a yellow or a red. Be clear on what diving on the ball is compared to sliding. Check for mouth guards. Read the rules regularly, because knowledge is power. If you as a referee can talk about rules and you're clear with your rules, it's going to make life a lot easier for you. So they would be my takeaway home messages from tonight. And I'm just maybe going to ask Johnny and Maggie both to share something they would like referees to take home tonight, their sort of key fact.
I think you touched on it, was the rules. It's knowledge of the rules. It's a great start on your fitness. Be confident in what you're doing. I think going back to the start of the original thing, it was about you look back onto the book or you contact other referees. I think having a pool of even other referees that you can ask and go through scenarios with, and possible things that might pop up or that have never popped up, that you know what you will be doing when that situation occurs, to me.
And Maggie, what about yourself?
Yeah, just constantly just keep an eye on the rule book. Anything that you have any doubt about, that that you actually make a recall of it, and you either go back to, most of you had suggested that you went and you look back over the rule book or the official guide, or as Johnny would like to do sometimes is to pick up the phone or whatever it is to other referees. So it's just getting clarity on that situation. That's something that is, they're not sure of. And I think I even said earlier on that if somebody's fouled a 45, that you obviously give them a chance a second time to retake it. And it's not a free kick. The opposition is actually a hot ball. So I don't know if I said that correctly or not, but it was in my mind here that if I don't know if I mentioned or not, but it's a hot ball rather than a free kick. So it's just constantly just reflecting back on the rules that you're unsure of, and just keep an eye on what, being up close with play as well helps you make decisions as well, particularly if you are looking about the tackle as well, you can clearly see it from that, maybe different angles as well.
Johnny and Maggie, I really want to thank you for your time this evening. I love these sort of ones. I think it really helps us get a wee bit of clarity in around rules, where sometimes it's just easy reading them from a rule book, but the understanding of it can differ. So thanks a lot for your clarity, your honesty, your openness, and most importantly, your time, because I know you are both so busy at the minute. So it's really, really appreciated. And thanks for everybody for logging in, and hopefully you've learned something. Cheers.
Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.